Welcome to Gearhead Country. I'm your host, Ian Rome, and we are at the 2022 CCMA Awards here in beautiful Calgary, and with me is Brett Kissel.
Howdy, buddy.
Hi.
Thank you very much for letting me come on Gearhead Country, and what a great setup you have here. It's memorable, it's awesome. I love that you talk about gear, talk about country music. There's nothing better.
Nope, true enough. And again, back at you. Thank you for taking the time. And you were here bright and early. Just literally, the whole thing started at 6 and you were here at 1:45.
Well, I grew up on a farm, so if you're on time, you're late. If you're early, you're on time.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, your farming roots run really deep.
Yeah, you know what? And that's why over the last couple of years, when I was creating a new set list or creating a new record or trying to find the songs or trying to write the songs, I'm really excited that I was able to go back to my roots and really pull from the great stories that I had, as a kid growing up on the farm. Make a Life Not a Living, perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
That is a song that really speaks to, growing up in the rural way of life and loving the country. And I feel very grateful that now I get to give my kids an opportunity like that, and it's pretty special to watch it all come full circle.
Yeah, you're a lucky man because again, the kids they look wonderful. You guys seem to be having so much fun.
Yeah.
And with all of them, they're all different.
And I have a herd of children now. I got four of them. It's pretty special.
Yeah, and again, I love the fact of playing guitar and getting into some music with them.
Yeah.
And again, it's got to be great to watch that kind of plant those seeds and see where they end up going with it. And
you know what, we have a very special thing that we do on Sunday mornings, or sometimes like a holiday Monday, where I'll make breakfast. I'll usually play a show the night before, so it's a late night but early morning for me, and I don't want to miss out on that morning time with the kids as the sun is rising. It's a beautiful time of the day, and I love making a big breakfast for everybody. But when we do that, we listen to classic country music. That's my rule. If Dad's cooking breakfast, we'll put it on the speaker and we're going to listen to classic country. And it's really special when one of my daughters says, "Hey Dad, can you play Jolene by Dolly Parton?" And oh my gosh, my heart just flutters. Or my son says, "Dad, can you play he says Frozen Up Property in Arizona?" I'm like, "Oh, Oceanfront Property, close, son." He's 3 years old, so we play Little George Strait, or it's just really great. Lori Morgan, all of the greats from the 90s and the 80s, 70s, and of course the 60s and the 50s too. So it's been a really special thing as a parent and a country artist to watch my kids be bright-eyed and learn about the great legends of country the same way I did.
Yep, exactly. And it's funny because right now I'm finding when listening to radio that it's a lot of that 90s references are coming back in very subtly.
Yeah.
But it's good to see there's acknowledgement at least coming back into radio, and it's through artists writing it in and talking about that stuff and radio having no choice but to sort of
support it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really unique thing that obviously you've caught on to on your side of the table, on the media side of things. But as an artist and as a songwriter, the 90s country decade, the decade of 90s country was so strong and so gigantic worldwide that to see it coming back in this way is really special. And the reason why I love it is because my heroes like Brooks and Dunn or Tracy Lawrence, George Strait, Garth Brooks, of course now they're being referenced. Tim McGraw is being referenced in songs.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And it's so great to hear, and it means that 90s country is getting yet another life, which shows that if anybody says what is the greatest decade of country music, I would have to say it's 90s just because of the popularity.
Well, when that broke, when Shania Twain broke and Brooks and Dunn broke and Garth broke, I was living in Red Deer. In Sylvan Lake, and I was doing some writing and some playing and working electrically at the time, and from that point when I went back to Ontario, I went to Nashville because of that decade and that music, and it's the reason I'm here. It's the reason I still dabble in the industry. It's the reason I still write, is because of all those tremendous songs that, again, you sadly don't hear that much unless you're calling it up yourself or creating your own playlists. And but maybe we're seeing a swing and it's gonna change.
Well, I think it's really cool to see on red carpets. You have a lot of artists, whether it be a Kane Brown or maybe even a Sasha, or a lot of awesome and very unique performers that are wearing vintage T-shirts of the Judds or Martina McBride, Reba.
Yep.
I just love that. Old is new again, and that couldn't be better for a guy like me who loves the old stuff. I had the opportunity to open for a lot of my heroes early on in my career, like Dwight Yoakam and Loretta Lynn, Randy Travis. I even got a chance to open for George Jones, and I feel very, very blessed that I was able to meet and interact with country music royalty in the early days.
Fantastic! I love the fact you're a wonderful, humble guy, and
Thank you.
Again, I love your career. This is the personal highlight for me.
Thanks,
sitting
Ian.
down with you. Now again, Gearhead Country, so many stuff. This is only our first interview. I'm hoping there will be more.
I know that there will be. Oh, for sure.
Tell me about the family pickup truck that didn't you drag one out of your grandpa's or your dad's 69, 68, 70, what was it? You dragged it out and you were going to get it rebuilt. It was going somewhere, and I remember thinking, oh, that is all Gearhead Country.
Absolutely. Well,
what's happening?
We're in the process of that right now, and it's a very special thing because people can connect, whether you're a father and a daughter, a father and son, or there's a lot of especially in my community, there's a lot of moms out there and grandmas who just love their classic cars and love their vehicles and what the vehicle allowed us to do on the farm. So my grandpa had what we called the graveyard, because he would just buy a new truck. He would never sell the truck.
Oh, I know.
He would just park it.
Spare parts, and course.
Exactly. So he'd just park it, and so my a bunch of my cousins, we decided, well, let's one by one let's start fixing up these old trucks. There are about 6, 7 of them. Now, we ended up selling 1 or 2 because we just got a really great price. But the other 4, we made a pact that we're going to fix them up. And the final one was the 72 GMC Sierra, yellow, two-tone. And I don't know much about engines. I really don't. And but I remember riding in that truck while it was still working before they parked it in the graveyard and learning to drive on that truck. I remember listening to AM radio. I remember picking up, driving around and doing lunch on the field while my grandpa was on the combine. I remember there's also a vehicle that I want to fix up. It's a 1963. It's a 3-ton Ford, and it was our bale truck, and we hauled grain with it. And I remember that was the actual first vehicle I ever drove in my life. And I sat on a phone book just so that I could see through the steering wheel, just like this. So, I mean, great memories. I was 8 years old. I remember I was 8 years old driving, and my grandpa wouldn't let me take it out of second gear, and I says, avoid the hills. And I mean, and when I'm saying hills, just like little rolling hills. And he says, if you panic, turn it off. Just turn it off and let it roll to a stop. And there's also another thing. He says, if you panic, drive it into a bale. And he says, so you just drive into a soft round bale, and Grandpa would haul bales, and then we'd go and we'd drive back to the farm, we'd unload and go back for another load.
Beautiful. See, this is, for me, this is the essence of what Gearhead Country means to me, is getting that background story of, again, I just love cars, trucks, and everything else. But, and again, the tie-ins with country music and the tie-ins with life and generations. We talked earlier, we'll talk again off about, again, family histories and that, and how there is, how so much is connected, and to take pride in the past, both musically, other artists, and again in our own lives and our own families, is paying tribute to that stuff that came before us.
Well, I think it's very important that we never forget, because we have so much to be proud of, and we're all here for a reason. We're all here because of sacrifice of a previous generation. And a lot of people may think that previous generation was a long time ago, but as you and I realize how quickly time does fly, the reality is that no, it wasn't that long ago. And really, really grateful for the sacrifices that my family made, or the choices that they made, coming from Eastern Europe, coming from Ukraine, coming from Poland, and saying, we want to come to Canada, these are the reasons. And I mean, how different would my life look? How different would your life look if 100%. We had never made those, our families had not made those decisions to come to a land that's more free? Yeah, pretty wild, isn't it?
It is. When you start thinking about it, it can be awe-inspiring. So.
And there's a lot of people in, especially my generation and a younger generation, that on a scale of 1 to 10 for how much they care about the past or legacy, it's usually like a 0.
Yeah.
And for me, I want to make sure that my kids in particular understand who the Kissels are, who the Wenjanowskis are, and what our name means, and the weight that our last name carries. Dierks Bentley had a beautiful song called My Last Name. My grandpa took it off to Europe, to fight the Germans in the war. Wow, what an interesting thing. It's written on a dog tag that nobody wears no more. Wow, what an interesting perspective. That's a last name, that's a life, that's a legacy. So I'm extremely proud of my last name, and I hope that I can bring it a lot of pride over the next several years.
Well, you are truly, and again, in this industry, you're a class act.
Thanks, Ian. It means a lot.
Very, very, very giving, very talented, and again, you've had a great go so far, and lots coming ahead. It's funny because I don't know if you'd noticed, but Cool With That. That song seems to be getting a whole load of airplay in Ontario. I don't know what it's just it's an older song.
Yeah,
it's just I'm trying. You're not pushing it.
No, not at all. But it's a wonderful thing to have a very, very special catalog of songs now. And I've released 20 songs to country radio, of which I think all but 2 have gone into the top 10, and I'm so grateful for that. And Cool With That is a song that was a gold record, and I think just resonates especially in cottage country. First baby, what you doing right now? Or throw on a t-shirt and blue jeans. Grab a little sundress, bare feet. Break out the Captain Iced Tea or some honey jack if you're cool with that. And it talks about going down to the water and step-side Chevy. Maybe skinny dipping. I've done that a time or 2. That's awesome. So the minute you say skinny dipping, the dogs are like, Brett, put your clothes back on.
Listen, I know you're a busy man. Well, you've got lots of interviews to do.
It's just great to be on Media Row. So we've got a few left, but Ian, this one was very special.
Thank you again. Again, I look forward to chatting a little bit more about some other topics.
Ian, come
first of many.
First of many. Hey, and come to our after party on Sunday after the award show if you're still kicking around. It's at the rooftop. I'll get your email and I'll send you the invite.
I'll give you that right here.
Okay.
It's right here. I'll give you a couple of these and some stickers. All right. Oh, I better close this off. All right. Let's get our coveralls on and our tools out, and let's get back to some more Gearhead Country Radio.